make sure the emergency service guy sitting in the front row, set the example for the public that it's okay.
Yeah. About 15 seconds. Oh, so we're already live. Got it.
She's on it.
Yeah.
That's the last, the PC.
Yeah, rookie mistake.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Green Lake Township Board of Trustees regular meeting to order. That would include the regular meeting and the budget public hearing on June 11th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Judy, can you do a roll call, please?
West. Here. McDonald.
Here.
Biondo.
Here.
Merrick. Here. Biganowski.
Here.
Kramer here, and Radke.
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Before we move on to the next item, if you have any smartphones or devices that make noise, if you could, please put them on vibrate or silent. That would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that being said, next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does any board member have anything to add or would like to remove from the agenda?
We do, Mr. Supervisor, we do need to add UE, as Mr. Biganowski says, advisors, authorization to pay bill at the end of new business, please.
Very good. So we have a request to add UHY to, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Merrick. Do we have support by West? Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on our agenda would be reports.
Consent
Oh,
agenda.
I'm sorry, approval of the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of May 14th, 2024, and treasurer's reports and bills. Is there any member of the public that would wish to pull one to place elsewhere on the agenda to talk about it? Any member of staff? Any member of this board?
Yeah, I want to pull the May 14th meeting minutes just to make a comment.
Okay, we'll remove the May 14th, 2024 meeting minutes and place them
New business.
under postponed business, item 1. Any others? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support.
We got a motion by Kramer, supported by Merrick, to approve the consent agenda as amended. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Roll call, sorry. I was corrected.
McDonald. Biondo.
Yes.
Merrick.
Yes.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke
Yes.
and West.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Now, can I move on to reports?
Yep.
That's next on our agenda. I don't see the sheriff deputy here. I do see the fire chief. Fire chief, we've received your written report both for fire and ambulance. Is there anything in addition you'd like to present this evening?
Yes, sir. He's got a lot of papers.
A couple things. So, apologize for not being here last month. I was out on a drone request for our drone. I just wanted to mention last month that we already have used our extrication equipment, so that was purchased, a couple months ago. We had a double pin in down by the park in which we used those. We've put 2 pieces on our primary ambulance until the new engine gets here, so we had the opportunity to use those. We had 2 people pinned in down there, and they work great. So I just wanted to report that. I talked to Supervisor Radke, and there were some comments made in public comment about the AEDs and about the ALS auditing. So I just want to make the board aware and the public aware that we are currently going through a CMS audit. So that's pretty in-depth. That's taking a year's process in which they're auditing our billing for that. And that's pretty extensive. We've submitted all of our paperwork, and they're currently going through that process. The other one was some comments about the AEDs. So there's no statutory requirement for us to place AEDs in the public. However, best practice is that where people congregate, that's where the best use of those go. They're covered. People that use them are covered to use them under the Good Samaritan law. So by us providing them, people that use them are covered as long as they aren't grossly negligent or there's any willful or wanton use with those. So that basically covers the users of those. Obviously, we need to make sure that they're maintained, and that'll be a process for us, and that's no problem. We do those on our equipment all the time. So just wanted to bring those up. Lastly, I'd like to just cover I've asked some members to show up today, and I'd like to present them with some certificates of achievement. So as I call those individuals up, I'll just kind of recognize what we are here. So Joe Miracle. So Joe recently successfully passed his EMS instructor in EMS program and also successfully completed his testing. So now he's a state licensed EMS instructor coordinator, so that'll allow Joe to do EMS CEs, do initial education for any EMS providers. So good work, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Next is Lucas Deschler. So Lucas is a new member. We had the board brought him on beginning of fire school or halfway through fire school. So Lucas has successfully passed his EMT class, and we did graduation last Monday for his firefighter 1 and 2. He's successfully completed the course, and he's submitted his testing, and we're just waiting for those results, but I'm not worried about those. So congratulations. Alex Johnson. So Alex went out and successfully completed his fire instructor 1. He's completed his requirements of student teaching for that, and he's also successfully completed the fire officer 1 program and has done his testing for that. So he's successfully completed both of those courses.
Good job, Alex.
Also, Logan. So Logan's gone through and successfully completed his paramedic school. So a long, hard road. He's successfully completed that, and so the National Registry is just switching tests at a great time. So he's went all the way through the program, and now they're switching their tests. So he had 30 days to complete 2 tests, or hold on 30 days and complete 1 test. So we've talked about this, and we're going to wait the 1 month and then take 1 test and go from there. But a long, hard haul, but successful completion. So congratulations.
He's just gonna need to take that once, right, Chief?
One and done. That's the hope. And Aiden wasn't able to be here tonight, but I wanted to recognize Aiden Waddell. We brought him on the same time that we brought on Lucas, and he successfully completed the EMT program, and we're on to EMS testing for him. So I just wanted to recognize him too. So
Good job.
Very good.
that's all I have.
Any question?
The audit, did you say CMS?
Yep, Centers for Medicare Studies.
Is that a state thing or a federal thing?
Federal. Yep. Medicaid would be state, and CMS supersedes them. So.
Is that something we ask for, or we get put to us?
So all EMS agencies in the nation that accept Medicare monies have to go through the audit. So it's a 3-year span, and a third and a third and a third, and we're up.
All right.
So, thanks.
Any other questions?
We had some comments at the last board meeting about the concern about the AED and someone using it improperly and causing more harm. Are those, do you have to bypass something, or will it, I mean, how safe are they for the general public who's not trained on it to use?
AEDs are, so the FDA's requirements for them is that they have to have video and audio prompts to them. So they always talk to you. So, and up on the screen pops up directions also. So as long as you have some capacity to take in information, they guide you through, and they're required in certain locations. Like if you have a workout facility, like a gym, they're required by state law to have them. Actually, April of last month, the state updated for requirements of coaches and staffing to have training on AEDs and CPR. Obviously, medical facilities are required to have them, but they're in the public in numerous other settings. East Bay Township has them in some parks. Every Meijer in the state of Michigan has one in their stores, and they have their staff that are trained in them, but there's still public access. There's still open ability. Most airports have AEDs, so they're very safe. I mean, you can literally be touching patients. Despite what Hollywood have you believe, you can be touching patients when a defibrillator goes off, and it's still safe to be touching them, though we don't want people doing that. So yes, very safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one.
It's my understanding that if it detects a heartbeat, it's not gonna hit, they're pretty fail-safe in that whole aspect. You're really not gonna do any damage to somebody because it's gonna detect it or not.
Yeah, so they shock 2 rhythms. One of those 2 rhythms, they could have a pulse. That's called ventricular tachycardia. That you're not in good shape when you're in VTAC. Okay, you typically have chest pain, and it's a sign that you could be having a heart attack also. But yeah, if they have a pulse rhythm outside of VTAC with a pulse, however, very infrequent, it will give you a no shock advice. Same thing if they're in asystole, if they've been deceased a while and you apply it and it does not recognize that rhythm. It targets 2 specific wave patterns, and if it doesn't recognize them, it doesn't charge, it doesn't do any electricity. So it just tells you, if no pulse, continue CPR. So, yep.
Any others? Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Case.
you.
I don't see anybody from the road commission. The county commissioner did say he was unable to make it this evening. With that being said, I don't see any other. We'll move on.
Wait a minute, I got a question. Chief might be able to answer it. Every month we get reports from the sheriff's department about the activity in here, and I've been here for a lot of years. And it usually runs somewhere between 4.8 to almost 6. Why was it so high in May? Did something go on? Did we have a lot of burglaries, or did some activity go on? Because it was like at 7.9%. Any idea why?
On the report, well, we had a lot of,
Drug activity.
drug and youth activity.
That Nolfke was working on, right?
Yes. Yep, and those, you should see those numbers down because a lot of those issues have been addressed.
Okay.
Didn't they bring the task force in to help with some of that?
Yes.
Watch for specific people, and they got them.
Yes.
Okay, because it was a lot of years and it's never been that high.
Anything else? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Public comment's an opportunity for the public to speak without interruption. I would ask that you rise, go to the podium, state your name and address of the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes and towards the board. Is there any member of the public wishing to do so at this time? Yes.
Hi, I'm Isaac Jakewish, 20241 Cinder Road. I have come here on behalf of my manager, who works for Honor Bank. He might have sent out letters to some of you a couple of months ago. I'm here to share some of the deals that we have on our CDs and certain money markets. I do have some handouts if I may approach and hand them to you.
Yes.
Isaac, how are we spelling your last name?
Jaquise. Currently, we have a couple of CD deals. I believe my manager might have stated in his letter about the different accounts that we have at the bank. We do offer accounts for townships and nonprofits who guys would fit into that category. We do offer a wide variety, we do offer our CD specials, which do have pretty high rates right now. And we do, if you are looking for something with more liquidity, we do have accounts with more liquidity, but also gaining interest, such as our money market accounts. If you do have any questions, feel free to call my manager or call the bank. We will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Or you can stop by the Lake Ann branch or any other Honor Bank branch if you have any questions. Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Yes.
Linda Jopik, 1861 Outer Drive, Interlaken. I'm just going to comment on the terrible roads and the subdivisions around here. I know I've been here before when people have complained. I called the road commission today. I told them I'd start calling them every day until they did something, so maybe that's why they're not here today, I don't know. But if you go on Inwood North for just a short drive, there's a trench, literally a trench across that road, and it's terrible. And I think in the 46 years I've lived here, I know that we paid for the paving of our roads, and I think they've been through one time with this new gravel thing they're doing now. And the more they're improving the roads, the main roads, the worse our roads are looking. So if you have any influence at all and can do anything about them, I'd appreciate it. And on a final note, I just want to say your pickleball courts are the busiest I've ever seen, and getting busier, so it's great. Thank you.
Any other member of the public?
Gregory Caskey, 11711 US Highway 31. Quick civics lesson. We are not a democracy. We are a representative constitutional republic, and we're not a democracy. Also, we are a nation. We are not a nation of laws. We are a nation of political wills, and always will be. As to some understanding, it was commented that people didn't understand what had happened to my situation with the township. And as members of the board, that's your responsibility and basic constitutional duty, especially when rights are being violated. I'd really like it to be understood that you guys are liable for any of those rights being violated. You swore an oath to the Constitution and to the state constitution. Therefore, you are liable personally for those violations. There is an election coming up. If that's not a responsibility you want to continue carrying, then do so. But that's what I'm suggesting to people, and that's what I've been reviewing as well. God save the Republic.
Any other member of the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion. Does anybody want to discuss anything of what they've recently heard? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Does any board member have any correspondence that they'd like to share with this board? Hearing and seeing none, postponed business. I believe this is where we place the minutes of May 14th, 2024, based upon Dave's request. Dave?
All right, so, we take a lot of crap for a lot of things, and people accuse us of being sneaky and crooked, whatever. Last month we did our salary resolutions. And the minutes don't say what any of our salaries was. It says we passed the resolution as presented. I would really like the number that we gave to all the positions to be in the minutes, so when somebody looks at the minutes, they don't feel bamboozled like we're hiding the ball. So instead of saying as presented, it should say that the clerk's salary for 2024-25 is so many dollars. I'd like the dollars replaced with as presented, just for transparency purposes. that's one of the biggest things we do, so that's my comment.
So you need to remember when you do your motions, you need to include that, because I go verbatim off the tape. So include that in your motion.
So it said pass resolution as presented?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so, again, I don't want a member of the public have to take 2 steps and FOIA us to figure out who gets paid what.
I also, on the minutes, the Boom Boom Club, I believe we increased the amount of money that we don't, or that we're committing above what the Boom Boom Club requested.
What page?
I don't know, it says Boom Boom Club. Page 4 of 8, I'm sorry.
It was 1490. We did increase it to 1550.
It says as requested in here, Dave, in the minutes. It was
There
not
was
as.
actually a number, isn't there?
It says,
Oh, I see.
support, moved by Biganowski, support by Biondo to commit $15.50 to Boom Boom Club as requested. That was not the amount of money they
Requested by
requested.
me, I thought. That not the Boom
Yeah,
Boom.
because the
I
Boom
see.
Boom Club didn't put a number on it.
Right.
They
don't
just
have
sent
any.
us a letter. So he requested, I mean, it can be worded differently.
Salary.
Because it sounds to me when I read that we're giving the amount of money that they requested. And I remember Dave saying it's more than we normally do, or it's an increase from what we had. I can't remember the exact verbiage.
We could put on there for
It
like
is-
board decision or,
It is confusing. I agree with you.
Let's remove as requested.
I think that takes care of the problem there.
Okay, anything else? With that being said, I'd entertain a motion to receive and file the minutes.
Don't we have to approve the minutes?
Yeah, we have approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Merrick, supported by West, to approve the minutes as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to let's see, budget amendments. In your packet, we only have a partial page, per se, of amendments to the 23-24 budget, to bring it in line and not to violate the provisions of the state audit requirements. Judy, did you want to give a brief summary of those, or does anybody have any questions?
Who prepared them? The auditor or you guys figured it out?
we do it when we do the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pat?
Just wondering if the first one, 751 Parks and Recreation, that'd be 130,000 instead of 30,000? There was, looks like there's an actual expense incurred of 120 something.
This would be 30,000 because we're over budget 30,000 in that account, to cover everything that has been listed and spent out of there.
And what's anticipated to the end of this month?
Would
The
you?
rest of it had been budgeted already,
Pat,
correct?
Can Pat ask the question again so I can pinpoint it? It's the very first one?
Mhm.
I guess I didn't add up all the columns, but I just noticed right next to where we were listing the transfer of 30,000 in, there was an expense of almost 120 something, so I just wanted to make sure that we didn't drop a one there.
I can never find his work.
Oh, I see, we're talking 137,000.
Let's see where that's at, Judy.
Mm-hmm. That's your decision, you're the budget guy.
Yeah, we had 9,000 approved in that budget, on that budget line. It's the
Yeah.
budget
I
center we
think it should-
budget to.
What page you on, Andy?
Page 9 of 46 on our budget we got on the desk today. I don't know if that's different than any other
The
one we
30,
got or not.
because your whole budget center, it doesn't go through your whole, like, one individual line item, it goes through your whole budget center. And that, right now, if you look at the bottom where it says total appropriations, you've got 1,522,079 versus 1,464,034. So that 30,000 is to bring that so that we are not in the hole there.
We budget to the budget center, not
Yeah,
line
we'll
item,
budget.
correct?
Not
budget
not
center.
each line.
Understand what Pat's asking. We are still awaiting, I have reached out to the county administrator and county accountant or auditor, Dean Bott. They're still pending 25,000 to our endeavor in that regards as well. So, we're hopefully get it before the end of June. So at this point in time, I believe that we should be in pretty good shape, but if we want, we can, make it $100,000 a budget amendment. Just for the number's sake, we haven't expended it, but just to ensure that we don't have to come back again. Any other questions, Sherry?
No.
Paul?
No.
Andy?
No.
Pat or Dave?
Nope.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed budget amendments presented for 2023-2024 budget year.
Do we want to do what
With-
Pat recommended
Yes,
on that?
with the addition of $100,000.
I'll make that motion. Do I need to read each one, or just the budget amendments as presented?
Budget as presented, I believe they were in a packet for
These,
the audience.
I include these as attachments in the records too, so.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we approve the budget amendments as presented with the changing of $30,000 to $100,000 for 751 Parks and Rec Fund.
Do we have support? Yes, I will support that. Any discussion on this?
So we're doing 100,000, not 130,000?
100,000, Pat? Marv, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, yep.
100,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it land and building?
Okay, anything else? Hearing none?
What is that line item that we're?
It's on page 9,
Yes.
line item 101-751-801-000, professional and contractual.
That's not on page 9 then.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, page 9 of.
It's on page 9
9
of
of the
46.
budget that was sitting on our table when we got
So we're
here.
going from 9,000 to 100,000.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, with that, I believe we're gonna do a roll call, right, Judy?
Yep. Biondo.
Yes.
Merrick.
Yes.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer. Yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
And McDonald.
Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the opening of the budget public hearing. I would declare the public hearing opened at 5:57 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
We got a motion by Kramer, supported by Biondo, to open it. At this point in time, I believe there is opportunities for the budgets to be reviewed, and there is some on the back table. Looks like there might be one left, maybe.
I've
But-
got more up here too.
Yeah, okay. So is there any discussion? Well, let me first present the budget. This budget was prepared, and it had some amendments over the last 30 days or so, just trying to get the right numbers in. We did have the accountant come in and review some of this stuff, so I'd like to point out on page 1 of 46, the requested budget was $256,784, and after going through all the records and indicating, it appears that the number will be closer to $272,400, so it's an additional $18,000, give or take, on revenue. Currently, there is a Senate bill and House bill to reinstate the statutory revenue sharing, which they took away back in, I want to say 2010-ish, 2009. With that being said and done, the governor's indicated that it would be signed into this budget, in which this upcoming budget year would take effect October 1st. So that would be an additional $25,000 revenue in regards to that. And working with the state of Michigan. We did receive a little bonus incentive from the state DNR trust fund for Camp Saki. Currently, I have to meet with the director of the DNR, the chair of the trust fund board, and to present additional information. And it's anticipated they have a check waiting in the amount of $51,000 in addition. So just got to meet with them, show them the records, and so that's an addition also to this budget.
But that's from the purchase where they helped us 2 years ago?
Yes.
Wow.
So I got to meet with them, supply them the information which I received both from Andy and from Judy, got that compiled, so that's going to be an addition. But I didn't put it.
That never happens.
So that's just, you know, the working relationship we had and the interest and all that other stuff that was accumulated since 2017-ish, so to speak, from my understanding, so that's a good thing.
All right.
So those are not included in the revenues.
We also still have monies coming in for the February election, reimbursement of about $25,000 for that early voting and for election day supplies and workers.
From other townships?
No, from the federal government.
Oh.
And then we also have reimbursement coming in for some of the equipment and stuff that we've purchased too. So we're just waiting. Hopefully we'll get it in this budget year.
And a few other payments, like the last revenue sharing, I believe, is still sitting out there.
Yeah, that'll be coming in, but that's part
That
of
should
the
be in the next
budget.
couple weeks, yeah.
But just so that is anticipated, we're waiting on the state and federal, so I really didn't want to include that at this point in time.
So is this the first complete year that we've had the same exact chart of accounts instead of that hybrid thing, or is this?
Yep, this marks the 1 year. July 1st actually will mark the first year.
Yes.
So it's more apples to apples than it ever was in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, and looking at prior year's budgets, I think I went back to 2020 budgets, and I gotta say, this board's been pretty astute in regards to keeping an eye on it, and currently with the fund balance being projected of $66,708 is the fund balance. That's anticipated to be carried over, or carried from the proposed revenues and expenditures for this next fiscal year. Currently, we're on track at $85,541 for this year. Like I say, I don't believe the township should be a banking institution, so use what we have and keep a rainy day fund as recommended by the state treasury. So with that being said, our special assessment districts, at the request of each of the districts, they've asked to increase their, if you imagine that, they asked to increase their contributions to the district and asked that we raise their fees 9%, which we can statutorily. So that's what they requested, so that's what's been proposed.
On all of them?
Yes,
And it's included in here.
yes.
In the requested column.
I didn't get the number that you figured we're getting reimbursed.
For elections?
Yeah. the Fed.
25,000 for this, from the federal government.
Okay.
And I'm not sure on the equipment. I think we have another 15,000.
And none of these figures that you were just throwing out are included in the budget. They'll all come in after the budget.
Correct. Well,
Well, no, we
it
have,
should still be included in this budget.
yeah,
It should be here in
we
the
got
next-
$40,000 into that, give or take, because there's still some questions on and that.
So that 40,000 is what you're expecting us to get reimbursed from our election?
Yes,
And then this 25,051 is included in the state grants of the 75,000?
no, that's not included in the state grant.
That's
I did
just-
not put it in, because that has been a 5-year endeavor.
Okay.
So-
And then are we gonna add in the difference between the 256 and the 272,000?
We can amend that revenue line
We
for
got-
the 272, but to be on the conservative side of 256, 784. It's always good to be under.
Right, so we're gonna run it to 256, or we're gonna add in the other? Are you sure we're getting the other?
Not absolutely 100%. I'm
I'm
99% comfortable with it, yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
I prefer just to keep the 256, 784 to keep the reins, our hands on the reins in that regards.
Okay.
I think one of the challenges too, Marv, was looking at the budget and some of the voter-approved millages, like the ALS fire, that's just over $1 million, that if that money doesn't come in, that kills the 1.289 million that the fire department operates on. That doesn't count the money that we've got to pay back on the fire building of $230,000 that comes in through the millages that were in the that the voters had approved to get those services. And if that my tax goes through, we're gonna have to look at this budget again and try to figure out how we're gonna pay our first responders to be here, how we're gonna pay that building we got, because we're not gonna have that money to pay out of our normal accounts. So we've got to keep that on our radar when the election happens in November, if that's on the ballot.
I think it's proved that I'm currently working along with Grand Traverse County township supervisors. We're all working towards a what-if budget in that regards, if that funding is reduced, and it will impact our services, obviously. So then we'll have to make an adjustment. Currently, MTA and MML and Michigan MAC has anticipated that they're going to look at between 27 and 32% of the budget that we're looking at. We'll have 27 or 32% of what we see.
And those special assessments will go away. We'll no longer be helping the residents with the roads that they've asked us to contract with others to do. So that's going to affect that.
Milfoil.
The milfoil, and it looks like we get about $256,000 in our budget from the property taxes as well, which is going to affect what we've got to do if that passes, if it makes it on the ballot, and if it makes it on the ballot, if it passes. So we need to just be watching that as well, and that's part of the challenge that Marv had getting this budget together, is what do we do if?
So with that, any other questions, discussions regarding the budget? So at this point in time, I'd like to offer any comments from the public. It's the opportunity to ask some questions. Again, this is a budget. It's not set in stone. This is what's being anticipated, and if there's events that take place outside of our knowledge at this point in time, it can be amended, it can be reduced, it can be tweaked in that regards. So that's the charge of this board is, okay, here's the idea of what we have, we believe coming in. Here's what we believe that will be going out. And we look at this stuff monthly. So this is what's anticipated. So we're operating, what did I say, 66,000 in the black at this point in time with the proposed budget, and we're on track for 85,000 for the current operating budget.
And on the last audit we had, what was that percentage that we were within the budget? It was 1% or half a
It was
percent?
0.07.
So we drew a map and we stayed pretty close to it.
0.7%. So we budget realistically and cautiously in that regards there. And we're operating with a fund balance in the neighborhood of 52%. That will keep us operating for 9 months, barring revenue from DMS. Anybody would like to make a comment? Wow, got a couple of hands, that's good. Jill? I mean, yes, if you can come to this podium and state your name.
Jill Coverdale, 5648 Renwood Way. Well, first off, I would really appreciate if this stuff was posted on the website. You know, I'm a CPA. There's no way in the world in 15 minutes when I arrive I could look through a 46-page budget and have the questions that maybe need to be asked. Other townships, even Grand Traverse, posts all their meeting materials ahead of time, so I think that would be very helpful. Just curious on the public safety, is the fee line the outside billing revenue? What is that? The 450,000?
Which page are you on, Jill?
Page 10. Under estimated revenues. Fund 205.
Fees, that is, that's anticipated revenue from, Daryl, you want to specifically point out what those fees are? Yes.
Okay.
Car accidents, the extrication, all that.
Does
Those
it
are the fees.
include like ambulance runs that the outside billing company?
Yes, outside of.
Okay, because this is kind of where I wanted to, I mentioned last month, I'd really like to see a reconciliation of that. Ambulance billing is very complicated. The CMS audit going on right now should be rather enlightening.
Yes.
To see what's going on, but, I think you've got to hold those people's feet to the fire.
Yep.
I'm assuming their contract is a % of collections, I don't know. I would, I guess, have to FOIA that contract if I wanted to find that out.
Yeah, it is on.
But,
per collection.
when the township put the ALS millage in place, it was to be offset by those, so that perchance when more ALS activity ramped up, which was the reason for that millage, or the purported reason, that was supposed to then reduce that millage so that it wasn't on our back so much. So I think that we really have to have more accountability on really what's being billed, what isn't being billed, is it truly coming into our coffers? Because I would question that.
Yeah, and that's what we have Chief Case look at it, the clerk and the treasurer's office look at it on the reports that we receive on the collections and the billings. And if you notice down right below on page 10, the write-offs forgiven, the red, that's for our residents, the taxpayers. We don't charge them in that regards there. And so that's where the negative 227, 523 activity through the date of this printing, which is 6/5/2024, without any of the updates. So we look at that and we keep a pretty good eye on that. I know Chief Case has himself and others in his department review all those bills and reporting. So.
Okay, because, it should be reconciled of, hey, we did this many runs, how many did we bill out, how many did we forgive? It should equal.
Yes.
And billing companies in ambulance are notoriously horrible.
Yeah, if you miss
And it's
that
also,
dash, yeah.
on the Office of Inspector General's radar, and the township shouldn't be flirting around with any danger on this.
Right.
I will
Okay.
also make a statement that this area is one that when we are audited each year, this is looked over very carefully by the auditors to make sure that everything is the way it should be.
Yeah, I would just question their expertise in that.
Yep.
Having my background.
Well, they are
Okay.
auditors.
Thank you. I believe there was a hand in back. Yes.
Mine is a little simpler question, but 4045 Euclid, Brian Winnicky. Where's the cannabis money in this budget? Did we not get from the state?
Cannabis
118, yeah, tax dollars,
Oh, the
revenue share. Yeah, where's that?
First page.
Yeah, if you go down on the first page, you'll see about 10 down, line 101, 000057400, state shared revenue.
That's it?
It's anticipated to be $738,500.
Cool.
But that's not just from the marijuana money, it's other revenues that we
Right.
get from the state as well.
It was
It's all-
just published in March that Interlochen got $118,000.
Something like
Correct.
that, yeah.
I'm
And
just
that,
curious where that was.
and that budget line, well, that goes down to 607 fees.
Yeah,
Those are fees that we receive from what they report as sin tax.
yeah,
The 10%, we get a portion of that
Right.
10%, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we put, it was 118,000, I anticipated 100,000.
Okay.
So I did bump it up to 115,000 as additional revenue from that.
Okay, I thought it might be buried in the fees, but I just didn't.
Yes,
wanted to
you are correct.
Thank you.
Yep. And if anybody has any questions after this meeting, please reach out and we'll do the best we can. Any other comments in regards to that? With that,
Can I ask one more?
yes, absolutely, Sherry.
I just noticed that our law enforcement, I thought that music camp picked up half and we picked up half.
Yes.
It's $100,000, almost $100,000 now.
Yeah, it's
It
90.
was gonna be like 94,000 you've got on here. It was only 50 and last year took this great big jump.
Yes.
And what happened? Yep, just.
What it is we pay for it, it's in entirety. Then ICA cuts us a check for 50% of our quarterly invoice. So if you go down further, the private contributions and donations, this is where
Okay.
Trent told us,
This is what we did with it.
yes.
All
So
right.
we have an out, but we have an in with the ICA
Exactly.
funds.
I got it.
Okay. Any other questions? So with that, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing at 6:16 PM.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Merrick, supported by West, to close the public hearing for the budget, 6:16. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries, public hearing closed. So with that being said, we'll move on to action on the public hearing. Adopt budget for fiscal year 2024, 2025, effective July 1st, 2024.
Now, Marv, I know in the past we've had to mention that this had been published in the paper and yada, yada, yada. It's all in our packet, that, but people watching at home may not see that. And this was published in the paper, the public hearing that we had as per state statute, so. And we've got proof that it was published, and we got a picture of the ad that was ran as per the requirements.
Yes. And I will take recommendations that was mentioned earlier and, put it onto the website as well. So with that,
I'll make a motion that we adopt the 2024, 2025 proposed or requested budget as presented.
Support.
we have a motion by Kramer, supported by Merrick, to adopt the budget for fiscal year 2024, 2025.
Judy, could you add to the motion the date of the document so we can identify it better?
Yep, with the document date of 6/5/2024.
I still support that.
Everybody understand the motion with its adjustment? Roll call, please.
Merrick,
Yes.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
and Biondo.
Yes.
Motion carries. Adopted. Thank you. The next item on our agenda would be Resolution 06112024.1 to appropriate the budgeted funds.
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution 06112024.1 appropriate budgeted funds.
We have a motion by Merrick. Is there support?
Second.
Kramer to adopt resolution 06112024.1. Any discussion?
This hasn't changed a bit since in the past, has it?
No.
Okay.
We adjusted it because of the comments that we had the last couple of years from you and that, so this is the boilerplate.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
McDonald, Biondo,
Yes.
and Merrick.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the resolution 06112024.2, which establishes the township board meeting schedule. We discussed it last month, and the results are put into our resolution.
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution 06112024.2, the Township Board meeting schedule as presented.
We have a motion by Merrick, supported by McDonald, to adopt resolution 06112024.2, Township Board meeting schedule. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kramer, yes. Radke?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
McDonald? Biondo?
Yes.
Merrick?
Yes.
And Biganowski?
Yes.
Motion or resolution considered adopted. Thank you. The next item is resolution 06112024.3, the depository resolution, which is required by statute as well.
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution 06112024.3, the depository resolution as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Merrick, supported by West, to adopt resolution 06112024.3, depository resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Radke?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
McDonald? Biondo?
Yes.
Merrick?
Yes.
Biganowski?
Yes.
And Kramer, yes.
Resolution considered adopted. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the wages and salaries.
Investment.
No,
Oh, I'm
investment.
sorry.
Resolution.
Resolution 06112024.4, investment resolution.
I'll make a motion we adopt resolution 06112024.4, the investment resolution as presented.
Support. We have a motion by Merrick, supported by Radke, to adopt resolution 06112024.4, investment resolutions. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
West?
Yes.
McDonald? Biondo?
Yes.
Merrick?
Yes.
Biganowski?
Yes.
Kramer, yes. And Radke?
Yes. Resolution considered adopted. Thank you. Next is the salaries and wages of staff. For the vast majority, it was the Social Security cost increase with some minor adjustments for market adjustments within the region.
You guys will see that's part of the handouts that I gave you tonight is the updated.
Well, didn't we already do this? This is just a one-page representation of something we've already done?
Yes. If
Okay.
I didn't do it,
But the rest of it wasn't part of, we just had the adoption of the electeds. This is the,
the actual, everything we put in the budget center, and also we took it out of the budget centers.
We fully discussed all this. Again, this is the
oh,
one
discuss it,
page.
yes.
A synopsis
Okay.
of
And the only change to this exact page is Mary
Mary
Jo,
Jo's,
right?
correct.
So-
Yep.
So the administrative assistant on this page is wrong.
Correct.
Okay.
That was in our packet, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so the hand, there's a new one in your handout that it was on the table tonight.
This month's.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
It's part of what I
Yes,
handed out
there it is.
tonight, Paul.
Okay.
Paul?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was underneath that report handout.
Okay, so the email that you guys put in the packet has a hourly rate, and then this document has a yearly salary. Does anybody do the math on that for me? So I can know what the salary is to just cross out?
$24.99.
It's gotta be more than that. Oh, that's the hourly rate, but that is not on the sheet at all. The sheet has salaries only.
Right up at the top,
Where?
the very first one.
49,
Administrative
380,
assistant.
24.
Yes.
$49,380.24.
But she's not salary, we gotta pay her hourly.
You're looking at something different than I'm looking at, because I don't have that number at all. Is it the administrative assistant, the first one?
It's this one right here. Ah, my finger's in the wrong
Clerk?
place, I'm sorry. We don't,
Alright,
So you can see, Dave, where she was getting paid, and then the requested is $6,885.69 for the year.
No,
And then he
More.
gives her a total of $49,380.24.
But isn't it 2,080 hours a year? And if you divide that into that figure, it's 2374. That's what Dave was asking.
it's not
Well, I don't
20.
know.
It's 1976
Yes.
is the hours.
Oh, it's not 2080?
Correct. 1976.
And that was a good year.
Judy, what's the number again? 49 what?
$49,380.24.
Okay.
$24.99.
On the table, we had
It's on
a
another
packet that
paper
had
that you
Jason's.
give us.
Did you have something, Sherry? I'm
Put it on
sorry.
the table today, it's the
Oh,
third page.
No, no, no.
I got it.
Well, I think, I'll say something. I think the 17.8 is too much. The increase in that particular one, where the highest anybody else in the township we gave was 5%.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe, because she's gonna be working with the, zoning, that maybe she ought to be pulled out of here as administrative assistant and put in with zoning as part of her wage or something.
Yeah, and part of that adjustment was the marketability over the years. We've been going out trying to adjust wages within that job description and within the arena that we are working in. And that was the only one that was been lagging behind. So it's, you know, in years past, we did a market adjustment for the salaries. This one has been escaped all along. I mean, it hasn't been, we didn't keep up with it. And that's where this is coming through. So it's just a one-time, one-shot infusion adjustment. And with, you know, she'll be assisting, again, we approved her being a receiver of funds, and we are allocating all the billing that we do for this, our two sewer systems, our water system and the extension thereof, and our Grant Township, I think, has
She does
been
with the fire.
adjusted and increased. So we invoice them. Is that quarterly, Chief, for Grant Township invoice? Okay. So, yeah, that's just a one-time infusion.
So it's a market adjustment to keep our employees in the same level of where other people in the same job description or same tasks are that we hadn't done with this position in a couple of years, if I remember right, in the discussion we had at the office.
3 years, correct.
3 years, that's what it was.
Anything else? Dave? Pat?
I don't like the way you guys did this. I mean, that is a big increase. I would have liked to have been involved in that. I just hired a legal secretary for 10% less than what you want to pay her, and they're very highly skilled and hard to find as well. I would have liked to be involved in what you guys are using for comparables. Like Sherry says, I mean, what do you think, Sherry?
I think it's too high. I think it's, big increase. And I know she's gotten an increase. She's gotten an increase every year. We've kept her up with the wages and that each year as from what we hired her in at. But that just,
I think she got the lowest raise last year, percentage-wise.
I think everybody got the same last year. I
No.
could have looked if I'd have thought about it this time.
No. You got anything, Pat? Andy?
Nope.
I've stated my piece. Judy?
I'm good.
Sherry? Anything else?
Oh, yes. On here, you're showing a maintenance seasonal at $22 an hour. What's
Yeah.
that all about?
That's our Joe. We hired him back in 20. when was
Well, we
that?
have no
Oh,
wage for him. I mean, we have no projected on him.
Yeah,
So if that's him,
it's seasonal, so it's depending on what is needed. You know, if there's not a whole lot needed, won't have many hours. If there's not a whole lot needed, there won't be. But the figures are addressed in each respective budget center, be it town hall and grounds, be it park, be it the cemetery, be it the Golden Fellowship Hall.
so he's no longer automatic part-time worker for us?
Yes, this seasonal, there might be a month that there's nothing to do, it's in between. So we're not gonna pay him to do in between nothing.
Kind of like
So,
a paid
and that-
on-call firefighter, EMS, if we don't need him, we're not gonna pay him to come
Yeah.
hang out.
Because if we allocate a certain hours and time into it, then it could kick into the benefit program.
But then we
We're
could, then he could work 40 hours a week and it wouldn't matter.
It would, because we.
Because we haven't budgeted anything for that particular position.
That would impact the benefit package and our employee policy, so he is labeled as seasonal maintenance.
And that was in the budget that we just approved with some of those, that wages that we were gonna do, we just don't know for sure how much. You know, we know Mary Jo's gonna work 1,976 hours a year. We don't know if Joe's gonna work 20 or 1,976.
Or 2080. But if he's labeled and hired as. Paul?
I'm good, just do a little math.
Is that what the abacus is for, Paul?
Okay. So with that, we have the synopsis of what was been requested in front of you. It's been incorporated into the budget.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the salaries and wages as presented.
We have a motion by Merrick to adopt the wages and benefits as presented,
Wages and benefits, yes.
as outlined in the wage reference budget 2024-25.
I don't see the benefits in here, Marv, I'm sorry. On this sheet, I see wages. Are we supposed to do benefits as well? Or just, it just says salaries and wages on the agenda.
Wage reference budget sheet.
So,
As that's what
adopt
you're talking
the
about.
salaries and wages as presented in the wage reference budget sheet.
We have a
We're
motion by
handed out
Merrick,
tonight.
supported by Radke. Any further discussion?
My discussion is, I don't think we need to take any action on this, and I think it's inappropriate to vote on just your one-page representation of what's already in the budget.
Okay.
It's redundant.
So just for reference material only.
That's my understanding, and I'd vote no on it anyways.
You're the one that requested it each year.
I do want it every year. We don't have to take a vote as a board to say this is blessed or something special about it. This is just a representation of what we've been doing.
I thought we voted on this every year.
No,
Well,
I
we
could
fight
be
about it
wrong.
every year. Mhm.
yeah. Dave always wants a synopsis of the 46-page budget and the wages and salaries.
So this is just
Last
the
year I didn't
information.
do it.
This is just informational, only, so I withdraw my motion then.
I believe it's informational and it
Okay.
carries no weight if we pass it or don't pass it.
Okay. With that being said and done,
Wait,
oh, Pat.
so then when do we set, well, I know we do what we do for the board members, but all these other people,
Baked in the budget already. It's already been done. We did it an hour ago.
okay.
That's
that
what the budget was
is
based
precise
upon.
To their wages?
No.
He says he did that. He said,
Yes.
This is one of the tools, if I remember right, this is one of the tools that we had out, with the exception of the adjustment to the administrative assistant when we were doing the budget.
These
In the
figures are
office.
what I use to put into the computer to pay people.
they're incorporated. So
To the
when we
BSNA
pass the budget,
software.
we pass these numbers. Again, this is just good information so we can, one-page reference. I don't think we need to do any action.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Everybody buy into that? I
It's
don't.
on tape, so
Well, Pat's saying no. I thought we voted on this in years past, maybe not last year.
it's not gonna hurt to vote on it.
Right. Some
Okay,
people's salary, some people are hourly.
If it contradicts the budget, it does hurt to vote on it. If it's contradictory. If, like you said, the math comes out perfect, go ahead.
I'll make my motion again to adopt the salaries and wages as presented in the, excuse me while I flip to the page. Wage reference budget was presented to us this evening with the corrections to the administrative assistant.
We got a motion by Merrick, supported by McDonald, to approve the salary sheet and adjustments as presented. Any further discussion? Roll call it, please, Judy.
Merrick,
Yes.
Biganowski,
No.
Kramer, yes, Radke,
Yes.
West,
No.
McDonald,
Yeah.
and Biondo.
Yes.
Motion carries. 5-2. Next item is new business. New business is zoning ordinance text amendment, zoning ordinance amendment 24-001. I do believe we have Isaac Entrum zoning and Mr. Muhall, who was instrumental in trying to get something defined, if I'm correct. If you can give us a brief overview of that. And Bill, I'm going to ask,
There's Bill.
what was the incubator for this amendment, if possible? I would ask you to come up to the podium after Isaac gives his brief overview.
And I already have some visual aids. My initial concern was no permitting.
Hey, Bill, we need the microphone for the people at home.
You didn't want to be on camera. You look good tonight, though, Bill.
My initial concern was that these are hybrid dwelling units that aren't addressed in the current zoning ordinance. We have 3 of them that we know of in the township. They're very difficult to track because there is no permitting, and the current zoning, the previous zoning administrator categorized them as campers, which they're certainly not in a traditional sense. And I think the straw that broke my back is one was erected next to my house. And in my opinion, it's just really not fair to those that abide by the regulations. It's a workaround for property owners to establish more than one dwelling unit per parcel, which is contrary to the spirit of the township ordinance. So I wrote a letter to the planning commission to take a look at it, and this is what they've come up with.
Bill, do these create a problem with your assessing too, of how to assess that property, RV versus a motor, versus a park model versus a house trailer, like a mobile home type?
Yeah, they are titled by the Secretary of State, but they are not plated, so they technically should be added to the assessment roll, similar to a mobile home. They require no building permits nor land use permits, again, making them difficult to track. Their second dwelling units, owner's principal residence exemptions should be reduced to something less than 100% because they're not occupying them as the owner.
They're pretty impressive. Where can I buy one?
It looked nice.
Well, if you want to spend $80,000.
No, I'm good.
Any camper store?
And again, it's just jeopardizing the integrity of the property tax system, in my opinion.
Okay. Isaac, if you can give us a brief synopsis of what was presented and what was discussed.
Yeah, so following up on what Bill has mentioned, it was brought to our attention by him. Discussed it at Planning Commission. Some of the concerns were just bypassing the outside agency approvals. Say, for example, the Health Department, Road Commission, construction codes. Another thing about these manufactured homes is they don't meet BOCA or HUD standards. They're actually built to ANSI standards. So that kind of makes them unique. And I do believe the zoning text amendment is necessary to add the described definitions, just due to park model homes potentially being a workaround, not only for one dwelling per parcel, but they don't meet the minimum dwelling unit sizes defined in the ordinance or the minimum dwelling unit width defined in the ordinance. So there's some dimensional concerns as well.
So these are placed on occupied lots, not necessarily on vacant lots. And I see some notes in there that they're connected to water and sewer system, which are tied into the...
Yeah, they definitely have the capability to be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So, from what I'm seeing, we're adding recreational vehicle dash park model verbiage.
Yes.
And that was not included before? And
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
a-
considered a recreational vehicle already because why? They're not plated?
So, recreational vehicle is not defined in the ordinance currently. So this would be to add a definition for recreational vehicle. And then just due to them being so different from an actual standard recreational vehicle, that's why the planning commission decided to add the second definition, just so it was clear. Just because park models do contrast with the standard recreational vehicles. They're built to ANSI standards. They're usually around 400 square feet. They have the capability to be hooked up to utilities. So they are different.
All right.
Dave?
So you guys, in the yellow highlighted section, say that recreation vehicles are not permitted to be used as dwelling units, but you accept out park models, which means that park models are allowed to be residential units. You guys know you did that? I don't think that's what the intent of the amendment was.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think you did it backwards.
So the definition for recreational vehicle excludes park model RVs, PMRVs.
Yeah, so it's, a park model is not an RV, and then on section C on the next page in the yellow, you say recreational vehicles cannot be used as dwelling units. So by extrapolation, park models can be used as dwelling units. That wasn't the intent, was it?
Correct.
No.
So maybe we ought to do this next month.
Yeah, so whatever changes need to be made, I can work with the planning commission to make those.
I'd rather just see park models are not to be used or whatever.
And just so you know, C, that's not any new language, that's existing language in the ordinance, so.
Right.
Could it just say recreational vehicles and recreational vehicle dash park model slash PMRV are not permitted? Just have that last?
Probably you could save it by changing the definition of recreational vehicle to include park models.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess the thought of the planning commission was to exclude park models from RVs, and it does say RVs are not permitted to be used as dwelling units.
But this isn't the entire zoning thing that deals with recreational vehicles either. There's other parts of the zoning ordinance that deal with recreational vehicles, so.
This is primarily it. 4.10 is temporary dwellings, and 4.25 was recreational vehicle standards. The discussion from the planning commission was to kind of make that more of a parking ordinance. Point of clarification for the board, page 3, item 3 should say standards for recreational vehicles, not shooting ranges. Yes, thank you.
Well, I could tell the board that if you changed C, which is highlighted in yellow, to say recreational vehicles and park models are not permitted, and then you drop the last sentence of the definition of recreational vehicle, last half sentence, this all works.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody follows that.
Yeah, can you repeat that, Dave, just because I'm making some notes?
So on C, it should say recreational vehicles
And park models.
are
Yep.
not permitted. And then on the definition of recreational vehicle, take out the last half sentence that after it says but excludes park models. Take that all out. No.
No, because of all the temporary
No, it
stuff.
just confuses things.
Yeah, because of all the temporary.
So I think that fixes it, and I'd be okay with it, doing it tonight and not having to do another notice and all that other stuff.
No.
Yes, so you understand what?
Yeah, I understand what Dave's saying. Thanks for clarifying, Dave.
The way it reads, it does exempt those from the definition and does allow them to be used, which was not the intent. It's just that wordsmithing that was in there.
Yeah, and wordsmithing, again, tried to follow what the planning commission suggested, so.
Excuse me.
You were this close, so we're good.
Yeah, we gotta change where it says item 3 standards for shooting ranges to say recreational vehicles.
True.
Yeah, yep. I mean, I'm aware of that.
So with that being said,
Okay, so say it one more time so I'm with you. I got the recreational vehicles and park models, and then what was the other?
We're changing the definition, we're dropping the last half sentence under the definition of recreational vehicle.
Says spot.
Put a period after travel trailer.
Put a period after travel trailers.
Yep.
And then on our next page at the bottom, where the yellow is, we're gonna do recreational vehicles and add in "and park models are not permitted." So we're adding 2 words there, 3 words there.
We need to add the recreational to add park models and park models are not, make park models.
Just "and park."
So is that correct right there?
You could put a PMRV, I guess. Yeah, put PMRV.
Okay.
And then the title, take out shooting ranges and put in RVs.
Yeah, and again, those were just kind of for the report, so,
Okay,
but
oh,
yeah,
that's not in the-
can make that
We don't
change.
need to do that, it's not an amendment.
So everybody,
But you're still using them park models, you can use them 60 days a year then.
No,
That's what this.
yeah.
As far as.
60 days if you got it hooked up to septic and
You
30
can't,
days
you
if
can't
you
pull,
don't.
those are not made to be pulled around, so
Well,
they're
it's
there or
set-
they're not
there
there.
it sets for the whole year and you can use it for 60 days.
Doesn't work that way,
Is that the
Sherry.
solution?
Doesn't work that way.
well, and that's where, I believe was some of the concerns.
Mhm.
Would be with
Yeah, this
three.
was just intended to be preliminary in adding definitions, just so RV and park model RV are defined in the ordinance.
I don't like this ordinance as written, but I think that these changes help for the short term.
Mhm.
And if it's approved tonight, I hope that this goes back to the planning commission, Pat, to bring back an improved recreational vehicle ordinance for us, to look at it as a whole. That's probably gonna be something that's done once we're looking at tonight, master plan has been adopted.
Yep.
That they can use that as a guide on how to.
Yeah, that's a good point, Andy.
So I'll make the motion to make, we adopt the changes as presented tonight to, oh no.
The motion is to amend the zoning ordinance to reflect these changes.
That's the motion I'm making.
To the zoning ordinance amendment, ZOA 24-001.
Yes, sir, I lost my page. There it is.
Everybody understand the motion to adopt?
Did you get a second? Well,
No.
one amendment was under C, that's in yellow.
Correct.
It's "and park models, PMRV" in quotes.
Yep.
And the other one is where?
Page earlier.
Item 1, last, under recreation vehicles.
Yeah,
last
they
half
wanna
of
put
the
a
sentence, put
period
after travel
Okay.
trailers,
Where it says but,
scratch out the rest.
scratch but.
And then change shooting ranges to recreational vehicles on the last page on the top,
If necessary.
as needed.
Everybody understand that? We have a motion by Merrick, is there support?
Second.
Kramer, discussion?
I want to reiterate one more time, I hope that this comes back to us, fix the whole ordinance, not just put a little lipstick on it to make it look better for now, but it's something needs to be done to.
Bill, are these being used as Airbnbs or are they being used as people living in them or are they being used for granny flats?
It does say here they can't be used for rental. In our ordinance that we just created, what they're used for may not go against, may go against the ordinance that's already there. What was it?
The one on Galvin Road is a second residence. The one on County Road 633 is a mother-in-law suite. The one on South Long Lake Road is owned and occupied by a family member.
So
We're not aware of any Airbnb or rentals of these, but we really would have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Okay, and that would fall under the parking. It says such storage or use shall not, under any circumstance, be undertaken on a commercial rental basis. It's on the last page, letter B.
There is an understanding that this is going to be, this is an interim fix until the whole ordinance is evaluated after we establish what we want to look like in the next one.
Yeah, I think it's a good step towards really prohibiting them. I believe there is a place for them, but
Well,
not.
they're an RV. I mean, that's all they are.
They don't have taillights, and you need a semi to pull them.
They're on a trailer.
They don't have taillights, they don't have brake lights, they don't have running lights, they don't have running gear. again, you have to pull it with a semi.
You need a special permit.
You need a special wide permit to go down the road. So that's why, Sherry, it's not a big deal. People aren't gonna be moving around every 60 days. It's just too much of a pain in the butt.
Right, but if it's sitting there on the lot, and like if I had one next door to my house, I could let somebody live in it 60
60
days every year.
Yeah. Yeah. But again,
That doesn't
no one's gonna
solve-
go through all that trouble for 60 days of living.
Yeah, well, if you Airbnb it, but,
No.
Yeah, you can't.
It's already spelled out in the ordinance, so, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
West,
no.
McDonald,
Yes.
Biondo,
No.
Merrick,
Yes.
Biganowski,
Yes, as amended.
Kramer, yes, and Radke.
Yes, motion carries, thank you. Next item on the, under new business is approved DDA 2024-2025 budget. The one in your board packet, was up to date. Much we knew. In front of you, you have the revised budget. The DDA had a special meeting this morning to review, the revenues and to evaluate some of the projected cost for the light up interlock and working with the trails. We did get confirmation that ICA did approve the third and final easement in that regards there, so that is anticipated to be in the works through the DDA. So the one that was on the table was adjusted slightly, the budget went from 220,000 to 223,797, bringing the incomes to 304,545. And you can see all the notes throughout there. That is what the DDA heard from. We took some public comment this morning, and this is what we made motion on.
Are you on the DDA? Is anybody else here on the DDA?
Pat.
Pat's on the DDA?
Pat's been a very involved member of the DDA. So did I miss much of that, Pat?
But, so you guys recognize this is not a sustainable amount of spending, because you just wiped out half your money in 1 year.
Correct, with fund balance. We've been saving, pitching pennies
Okay.
over the years to get to this
So you
point.
could have light up interlock, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So our purpose is just to look at DDA and say, that looks okay, we don't change it, but we're not, they're in a standalone like the library or.
Correct.
Okay.
The road commission, you know, Dave brought up the point, which is something that we look for as well. But we knew that we saved pennies for several years. And
I mean, I don't know what would happen if we didn't approve the budget. What would happen? I don't know.
The DDA couldn't spend any money, just like what the city attorney said for the DDA, or, yeah, the city attorney said for the DDA in Traverse City, that their budget's not approved by July 1st, the DDA can't spend any money on garbage pickup or any of that stuff in Traverse City. So none of this money could be spent, it would just sit in the bank until they keep.
Is that how you understand it, Marv?
what's that?
Do you understand it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Did, Paul?
Yeah.
No, that, okay.
are you
Right there.
getting a grant for to get lights to put on the sculptures? I see a few of them with that lights on them.
Sorry. Right. The echo.
Yeah.
Thank you. What was that, Sherry? The
Are
lights on
you
the
getting,
sculptures?
yeah, the lights on the sculptures, your
Yeah.
grant money come in from somewhere?
We are looking, pursuing that. If not, there's funds in there to have it done.
Are they paying for the ones that are lit up right now, or is it the individual, location?
Individuals, John of JPM pays for his, Lori pays for hers, and I believe ICA is in the process of doing theirs as well. So, yeah, that's individuals.
And-
Okay,
Well, let's ask one more question.
yes.
The deal over the light ups down here, tree lighting, and
Yes.
the stuff getting stolen, is there insurance that's paying and coming in?
I'd have to defer to Pat on that. I think he was a little more involved than I was in that discussion.
Haven't heard, I was thinking they should certainly try and get the insurance to cover it. I've not heard the results of that.
Yeah, because you're putting a lot of money in it. Don't get me wrong, I like having it and that, but maybe they'll start taking collections up or something and asking the public to pay if they don't have money for it. Because they have to rebuy again this year.
We have, from my understanding, an invigoration into the chamber and also support to the DDA to light up Interlochen. It's become quite the thing.
Did you give a grant, 75,000 or something like that? By the, a couple of years ago, they got the,
Yes, 75,000 to buy the initial mixer box and software.
And I thought Mary Jo said they got insurance money for that.
She said that
The one, I don't know if they got all of it.
Yeah, and some of the stuff, last year they paid for electricity to go across to Credit Union and to Brad Olson's property there. And now with this request and some of the businesses pitching in, they're gonna add a 25-foot tree on a 6-foot concrete rebar foundation to extend the lights further south as they go. So they're jumping across and adding big ones there. And Tom's been in support, and Brad Olson's been in support, so. With that being said, any other discussion on the DDA budget as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the DDA 2024-2025 budget as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Merrick, supported by West, to approve the DDA proposed budget 24-25. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, we do a roll call, please, Jody, or Judy.
Sure then, Mark. McDonald.
Yes.
Biondo.
Yes.
Merrick. Biganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
That's okay, someone else called me Fran today, so we're okay.
All of that, thank you. We'll move on to the master plan. As everybody's aware, this has been an endeavor, and at times a lively endeavor. But we've had this product in front of us for several months now. This has been a culmination of several input sessions that were held during the week and evenings and on weekends as well. And I believe I did receive one comment from Dave regarding the up north rustic.
Classic rustic,
Up north, yes.
and that got crickets, and it was not incorporated.
And that was outlined on the reference page that was prepared by, I believe, the Gibbs Planning Group, dated September 28, 2011.
Yeah, what's our consultant's name? I forgot all of a sudden.
Chris Grobel.
So I had asked Grobel to include it probably on the list on page 43 of our master plan. I would have liked to have seen that in the list. And I would like you guys to consider adding that. Remember, Interlochen, we'd come up with some sort of theme, and we actually got the library to change their theme. Remember, they wanted to build that glass, modern architectural nonsense, and we said, hey, that's not what Interlochen is, and then they made the pig barn, so that worked. So I would like somewhere in this list to say that,
On page 43,
well, page 43 is the beginning of the list,
let's add it to there.
that we encourage the classic rustic theme.
As outlined in the
Yes.
September
Yes.
28, 2011 Gibbs Planning Group document.
You got that, Judy? All right, now, I also want to point out that the master plan is a double-edged sword, because if it says something that we're encouraging and we want to do, and somebody applies for it, they can use this against us to say, hey, we want to do this. And I'm sure that the Caskies are going to be happy, because it says in here that we will encourage direct selling of produce to the public. So when somebody comes in here and says, hey, I want to sell directly to the customer, and we say, no, we don't like that, again, this is used against us in that way. Not that that's a bad thing, but
Yeah, well, and that's what the game is. They have specific
right, so, 90% of this document is boilerplate statistics, okay? So, the little pieces that are customized to our township, I think are pretty good, okay? It's kind of hokey a little bit, but it's how you do these things.
So there's something you have a problem with it? We could-
No, I don't.
you-
No.
You mentioned farm stands, basically, and I wonder if there was something you saw that said, oh, we don't want to have this as a
No.
liability.
No, I'm just saying that it's harder to say no if we say we're encouraging it in our master plan.
I wasn't sure if you had.
So on page, for clarification purposes for the board, on page 43 of our document, right past the Green Lake Township 2019 land use map, we're going to add 4 squares, make one big square.
Bullet
Bullet point, we'll call it whatever it is there. References of the
Classic rustic theme.
as outlined in September 28th, 2011, Gibbs Planning Study.
I don't think that was the exact word.
We had pictures and everything. It was a thing.
September
It
28th.
could be documented.
September 28th, 2011,
Exposed timbers, natural rock,
Gibbs.
as far as Gibbs Planning.
steel roofs.
So can we,
So with that,
can we put the specific words in by referencing the Gibbs thing?
Yeah, that's what she's writing down. Yes.
that's why we're putting in,
That idea.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody understand on that page 43 to incorporate what we'd like to see. Any other discussion, any other concerns? Like Dave's pointed out, the majority of it was the data extrapolation from the U.S. Census Bureau and all that. So kind of hard to argue. We can, but it doesn't go any further.
Well, it shows that the township is becoming an old people's place.
Easy,
The
Jerry, I'm in that group.
The kids, yeah,
Yes, you
we
are.
aren't having young families and that move in out here. We're not having young kids growing up here anymore, which I was real
So
surprised.
that's
when I
something
read
that
it.
we're gonna look at in that regards there. I believe the planning commission has taken a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach, so which is a positive thing. With that, anybody have any additional comments, statements, or action they'd like to take on the Green Lake Township Master Plan 2024?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the master plan as amended on page 43.
Support. We got a motion by Kramer, supported by Merrick.
This is a public hearing. We don't have to open it. This is,
Yeah, this is our board action. It's already been-
all right.
So any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call this, please.
Biondo.
Yes.
Merrick.
Yes.
Viganowski.
Yes.
Kramer, yes. Radke.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
And McDonald.
Yes. Consider it adopted, and that takes the opportunity, I believe some of the people in this room participated in the future section of Green Lake Township.
Bless you.
Thank you. Pat, long gratitude from myself to the planning commission for their interesting conversations they had, the debates they've had, and they come up with a decent product. Thank you.
Get a nice spot on the shelf for it.
Yeah, so
Right next to the one year before.
For 5 more years.
Yeah, that'll be reviewed. Next item is the trail engineering contribution. Pat McDonald made a request, I believe, of Judy to have this placed on our agenda. Pat, if you'd like to give a purpose, overview of it, please.
Sure. The EDA entered into a contract with Krim, time and materials contract, for
for part of the trail or the whole trail?
No, this is just for the north, third.
But that's roughly half?
No,
Less than half?
more like a third.
Didn't we pay an engineer to do a lot of this already? They laid it out, at least with pictures and mile markers.
Yeah, they made some warm and fuzzy drawings on a piece of paper.
All right.
Now, this is-
That's useless.
Yeah, but that was enough to give a picture to those involved, ICA, the state park. The state park did have, may have, would have some less money that they'd be willing to put towards trail delineation and construction on the state park property. So we're not including that in, from that point north.
Yeah, we just weren't moving fast enough. When they had the money, we weren't ready, so they kind of told us to come back next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're still active with them as well. But we did get the state of Michigan to sign off on an easement to the state park, the ICA on the north end and the south end. And again, kudos to Pat and FHRC, saved some legal fees, and he drafted it and worked it through, the state attorney general's office, the attorney's office reviewed it, and, thinking, again, Pat approved it, and that's a lot of, after all his work.
We also may be able to save money because the first third of the trail, we own half of it, and Senator Derrick owns the other half, so we're not bound, at least in our property, we're not bound by the same engineering standards that might be required for final approval.
Correct.
So will this hit this year's budget or next year's budget? Do we have to do an amendment for it? Or do we have monies?
When do they need, we can do it this year or next year. It's due the coffers now, but.
Can ARPA money be used for this?
Yes, absolutely it can be.
Because there is ARPA money left too.
So we can allocate, commit you said $33,500 of the ARPA funds to the trail from ICA property north to Flood.
My concern is I don't see any documents. The DDA entered into a contract for services to be done for time and materials, and there's nothing in our package showing us. I don't know what's being done. Pat has some notes on a yellow piece of paper. I would have loved to have had this information in the Word packet before I came to the meeting so I could look at it, so I could have some intelligent questions asked about what's being done and do we need to cover this. I don't like being asked to give $30-some thousand for, sorry, Pat, but notes on a napkin. I mean, it's.
We could postpone it a month if you want, and I can get that after the contract.
Well, we can get a copy of the trail plan that we submitted to the board 6 months ago.
But he said they entered into a contract. I'd love to see that contract, so I know what we're agreeing to pay for. Some of that stuff may not be stuff that we as a township can do. I don't know, because I can't see the document.
Yeah, and, I understood. This is an agreement between the DDA and the engineer. And they're asking for $33,500 to assist in the trail engineering docks to a point to where it could be let out and put in.
It sounds great. Until I know what I'm paying for, I can't be a yes.
It won't be going to, it'll be going to the DDA. The DDA's got to cut the check. They're the one that signed it.
But that's how I'm gonna be a no on this, because I don't see what we're doing, what we're authorizing the township money to be used for. I know what Pat said, and I know it's probably gonna be that, but the devil is in the details, and the contract has those details, but we don't have it from us.
The township's not carrying the load on this, the township's not driving this, so it's really just a contribution to the DDA in a broad sense. So maybe you're asking for a little much, because you don't have a say in it anyway.
I have to say, I have a vote whether or not we give them money
Well-
to spend on something that we may not be authorized to spend.
I'm saying, do you support, if you support the trail, the DDA is carrying the load and driving the bus on this, we're not. So if we were driving the bus, I'd agree with you 100%.
I'd like to see at least what the bus looks like.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I haven't thought about putting it in the packet for today, but it would have been at the last minute, and I've gotten grief about that before, but I think it can wait a month unless we can think of some
I
reason.
mean, I support the theory. I like the idea, and 33,000 or 30, whatever it is a good use of the money for the trail. I just don't know what our contribution be going towards. So,
Okay, as you guys know, on the concept of ARPA, that was a request. It is one of the 4 buckets of the federal guidelines for the ARPA funds, even though we are exempt from those guidelines.
Last year, when we give the DDA half the cost of those sculptures, how did we go about doing it? Wouldn't this be the same thing, Dave?
I think it went the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
We bought them and they reimbursed us.
Yes.
But well, okay, we paid for half of it.
So we were
We were
driving that bus.
and I knew the bus because I saw them every day go by.
So, any, Paul?
Yes, sorry. Back in redefining this length of distance here, I heard the word ICA property and buds. What was that again?
That's the
Because
north portion.
okay, but you realize the ICA property now is up to 11th Street and Buds is on 11th Street, so what is this gap? Because now they own the school, right? I mean,
Yes.
So,
All ICA property, except that they,
north of the bridge, or what do you?
North of the park or north of the bridge?
north of the cross, or north of the property line for the state park, starting there all the way to the school, to 11th Street. And then they've also agreed to design a crosswalk across 11th Street, not the
Right, so it'd be 2 buds.
And that's where Evans Tech going to be.
Well, yeah.
So,
This is up to construction drawings. I mean, it's the whole ball of wax.
yes. What we're currently working on, we did approve the township property on the south end of that to go up to Vagabond. 2 ICAs, that's the section of ICA property as well. So we're, we've been pretty blessed with getting easements from them, duly easements in the state. So, any other questions, Paul?
Nope, that
Sherry?
was it.
No?
Judy?
By us waiting, is that going to mess up the schedule? Will you be okay if you wait another month?
DDA, as long as we're not losing out on ARPA funds or anything like that.
No, not at this
I'm
point.
at the end of the year.
Andy, anything further?
I said, I keep
Dave?
No.
Okay. So with that, we'll
Postpone for,
postpone until next month and supply the contract and the document,
any information.
supporting documents.
Help us make a decision. That'd be great.
You know, the other thing too, if you do run into a snag where you need to have a decision, you can always call a special meeting too. So that you don't lose out completely.
And they're still looking at grant funding as well in that regard.
But this will be sufficient to have a bid packet and a construction drawing. So
Yes.
that's the final step. That's good stuff. We've been waiting for years.
Yep. And, at this point, people are committed, we'll give you money once the trail is being installed.
Shovel ready.
Yes, the shovel gotta be moving. Shovel-ready development. So, with that, then we'll just, we'll postpone action on this until the next meeting.
So moved.
Second?
We got a motion by Biondo, supported by West. That's what I heard. Postpone. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item. Don't believe we added anything on. We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, UHY
UHY.
bill.
Is that a future thing or a past thing?
That's happened.
It already happened?
Correct.
Huh. How'd that happen? Thought we're supposed to approve stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we didn't anticipate it to come in that high. That was kind of a surprise all the way around. So with this, UHI or whoever, whoever, Homer's done, has a description on there. They spent
some explain, is this something that normally happens, or is this something to correct a problem, is it something to?
So if you read my treasurer's report, we've been doing some changes that have happened as a result. There were some accounts that needed to be created, and without those accounts created, I had a difficult time reconciling the bank statements. So Trent and
Craig.
came in, they helped get some of these other accounts set up in the computer, so that interest would be allocated. We used to get like $100 a month interest versus $7,000 to $10,000 we're getting now. So the fire department deserves their cut of that interest, because that's where it should go. It's all in the same general fund account. It goes into a money market account that we're getting about 5.2%. This next year we should get about $82,000 interest instead of a couple thousand. That created some snags. I struggled to get the bank recs to come in line. Also, this all happened at the same time that Tina left, so I didn't have a deputy who was knowledgeable on doing some of this stuff. So trying to get everything taken care of during the tax season was very difficult for me. Because there were things that had to happen in setting up BSNA that I didn't understand. I didn't know we needed to do some of this stuff. That's what we got our accountants to help us get everything lined up the way it needs to be. There were some general ledger things that needed to be set, accounts to allocate those interest payments. And there was some way he did it in the account that set it up so when we take money out and make an entry, it automatically allocates the interest to the appropriate account.
So this is a one-time deal, and it was to fix something that was wrong with the system, or was it training for you?
It was a combination of some training for me, updating some of the stuff in the system, because we took a bunch of money, put it into one bank account, to be able to be insured. We went into this mutual, or to the online portal where we buy mutual funds where we get that higher interest rate. Get the general ledger set up to properly allocate the money into the appropriate funds once it goes into the portal, and to assure that the interest is appropriately distributed. These issues all came because we're not getting some real money in interest versus, a couple $100 people aren't fighting over a couple $1,000. Daryl might be upset he didn't get that for his AEDs.
So the general BSNA system wasn't working, or needed to be tweaked,
There
or
needed to
what?
be additional accounts set up that were in there to match the bank accounts that we had, and that was not the case.
Right, so,
So this should be a one-time event. There was also some educational aspect in regards to the timing of the review of the bank statements and dispersing the funds into the appropriate.
so why did I just see this in the general bills, and, again, we just got it past the goalie, because we would have noticed it, but why is it a separate thing today?
Because it's over.
After the packet,
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's 7,000.
Plus, it's over 5,000, so anything over 5,000 has to come to the board.
Yeah, and it was, we were on the seat, they put off their audit to send some time, some personnel down here. And even the boss man came down, we didn't have any employees to send our way, we were stacking back until July, wasn't it? Mid-July. Anyway, so yeah, this was after the fact, after the packet.
Why did it take 9 months to get caught? Because it says here that review and assist with 9 months of bank reconciliations.
So when Tina left,
He's been here a lot, though. Tina just left in January, so that's 5 months. And Trent's been here a lot. We get bills from him pretty regularly. What could go on 9 months without getting caught?
They went back 9 months, 2 months prior to December, because December wasn't reconciled. Because people left before the state would come in January, they had to reconcile in December.
and the interest wasn't adding up in the BSNA. When I would try to reconcile the bank accounts, there were not the appropriate accounts in the BSNA journal to line up with the,
The accounts were there, but nothing was in them?
there were no general ledger account numbers input in the system because we had not built it, because I did not know we needed to do that.
They used to use QuickBooks, and
Right, I remember
they're now
that.
using BSNA.
And we switched from QuickBooks to BSNA mid-year, mid-tax season, because Tina had it on Tina's computer. We had one QuickBooks, this was before I took office, one account with QuickBooks on one computer, and I did not like that, and I was trying to get everything switched over so that we have BSNA where anybody in the township can get authorization to read the file from the tax account. With QuickBooks, no one else had access to that, but we could get onto that computer. So I would have to go onto Tina's computer, have to log on as Tina, so there'd be no tracking who was the person doing the stuff. That was my predecessor had that set up. I didn't like it, and we went through the steps to get BSNA to change. We put the tax account on, and it created a little bit of a mess with the tax account in the last tax year. Moving money into one bank account instead of having it through, I think we had 9 different banks. We still have several that we're working on close. I'm doing it slowly so it's not to create other issues. When we put that money in there, the general fund would say, if you look at the statements, cash on hand may be a lot, but there's some accounts within that have no money in it. Well, the interest wasn't being allocated. The money wasn't being allocated when it came from when I took it out of the portal and put it into the general fund.
Yeah, I've questioned this over the years. The money wasn't going to like a CD she had out there somewhere. The interest wasn't going to it. It was all slapping into the general fund, right?
I don't know what was happening before I took office. I believe that to be the case, but I can't speak to that. I was not here.
And so now when you're all done and you get all these accounts set up and that, if it's $1 interest that belongs in Parks and Rec, it's gonna go to Parks and Rec. That's what Trent was doing when he
That
was
is
here.
my understanding of how the accountants did magic account stuff that I don't understand, to set up the accounts to do that. So it should be push this button, type this amount in, push this button, and interest gets allocated to the appropriate accounts.
Okay.
And it's getting, some of the checks that we get are a stabilization fund from the state of Michigan, like, Metro money, and that, so those are the restricted funds. And those are being put into the general fund. So
Right,
it has to
we've
be
been-
allocated back to that particular budget center and have the interest allocated to that as well, so it's a restricted fund, so that's being
Okay,
aligned.
Because the
yeah.
state only has one bank account, they can put our money in the porthole.
Yeah.
So we have to catch it, move it, general ledger it,
Yep.
and some of that stuff I was unaware of.
And
I
that's
knew the
what,
money had to get moved, I didn't know all the interest and everything had to follow it, and
so Trent has spent this time in here with his
UHY
associates.
is done, yes.
And supposedly, as of now, with this new budget, all the money should be where it's supposed to be, you think?
That is what they told me.
Okay.
I would like to just, I'm hoping now that we've gone through all this, that when you do see that there's a problem, that you do get help before it goes to 7 to 9 months, because this is not a good use of taxpayer dollars.
Correct.
I'm a taxpayer, and $7,000 could go for playground equipment or other things that could benefit the community. So I just hope that this has been a learning curve for you, or a learning lesson, and that you'll reach out before we get to that point the next time.
And some of this was other ledger stuff that was being done, it wasn't all bank recs. There was quite a bit of other stuff being done.
Well, one of the issues I think too is, I know Tina had reached out to BSNA to help with setting some of this stuff up. We are struggling with BSNA right now. They are all working from home. Most of them that are there to help us are new. So we keep getting, Andy will get one answer and I'll get another answer. So, I do understand that struggle, but
And that creates a bigger problem.
It does.
We're both doing something
Yes.
we're told by our vendor to do in writing.
so
And it's contradicting each other, so
Exactly.
it's creating a bigger problem for them trying to do some of this reconciliation.
I'm sorry, Judy, I cut you off.
So we just have kind of learned that we kind of work with the accounting firm because they seem to know more about the BSNA than BSNA does. So I get it, It's just, you know, we need to reach out a little bit sooner.
BSNA is not authorized in-person training down at their FAF facility. So that's been a challenge.
They're all working from home.
Yeah.
Because no, they could be sick.
They, we could pay them to come up here, but I don't think we have enough gold bullion to pay for that. For what we charge.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah. That didn't help. Previous. So anything else in regards to the UHY bill invoice?
I'll make the motion to authorize, oh, I probably shouldn't because I'm the one paying it. I'll take pass on that. How about somebody else does the motion?
I move to authorize payment of UHY Advisors Inc. invoice number 640482599, $7,025. Support. Any other discussion? Oh, we have a motion by Radke, supported by Merrick. Okay, UHY bill. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call on this, please.
Biganowski.
Okay.
Kramer, yes. Radke?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Biondo?
Yes.
And Merrick?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is public comments. They will apply. I would ask that if you have any comments or questions, go to the podium, say your name and address for the record. Direct your comments to the board uninterrupted. We shall, and limit 3 minutes. Any member of the public?
Greg Caskey Senior, 11717 US 31. I'm a little confused. We've been talking about this master plan for what, 6 months now?
At least.
We've been asking about it, we've been asking about it. You bring it before the board tonight and you approve it, and I see right on the front page, it says public hearing. When is the public hearing? Nothing's been said about it. Thank you.
Planning Commission called the public hearing, we don't.
Right.
Jill Coverdell, 5648 Runwood Way. I'm a little confused. In the public notice that was published in the Record Eagle for this meeting, in big bold letters it said, "The property tax millage rate proposed to be levied to support the proposed budget will be a subject of this hearing." I never heard anything about what rates were going to be levied. You know, unless that's subliminally buried in the budget that was approved, but I think the residents should be able to know what is actually the millage rate, because I think the board is authorized like up to certain amounts, you know, for the different property tax and millages. And I don't know that that was discussed at all unless I missed it. Secondly, in the master plan, I struggle with what the discussion was about the park models in the ordinance. On page 47 of your master plan, under section 4B and D, it says, "Welcome but guide the placement of tiny homes." You guys basically shot that down about the park homes. And then D talks about guide the appropriate development of future special land uses such as mobile home parks. This area and this region are screaming for affordable housing. I have friends that are professionals that sold their stick-built home, are now living in a beautiful park model in Leelanau County because they wanted to downsize, because they live here 6 months. They live in Arizona for 6 months. Our ordinance is really shooting our residents and the people in the areas that support our business and economy in the chute by not allowing park model homes. They're not a transient building. They're designed to be placed somewhere and people are going to live in them, whether seasonally or not. But the 60-day rule is a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. You know, they're $80,000 homes. They're not inexpensive, but they're affordable to the people that we need in this region to support ourselves. We're almost sounding like we're Traverse City proper of not in my backyard, and I think that's crazy.
of the public?
Gregory Caskey, 11711 US Highway 31. I'd like to second both of their opinions there. Also, the gentleman that helped us make this master plan, he bragged at the beginning of his whole spiel that he lived on a piece of property in Leelanau County in a teepee and fixed up his property to where he could build a house on it. And I asked him if he understood that in Green Lake Township, that's not allowed. And he didn't have an answer for me. The tiny homes is another way that somebody's going to get a foothold, say a child, trying to start families to stay here and utilize the area. If we're not allowing these people to be able to get affordable housing, they're going to be in the pines. Now, granted, there's some substance abuse and mental illness there, but at the same time, we're not making it easy for our children to get a foothold in any of this area. No, none of these kids are going to have $450,000 to make whatever pigeonhole we're trying to stick them in work. Something to think about. I understand the fairness and backyard thing. That's not going to hold. There is no fairness. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, we're on to discussion. At this point, I'd like to take the opportunity to discuss and clarify in my mind some of the comments in regards to tiny homes versus model homes and the size of homes. A tiny home has to comply with building code requirements. The minimum size of a home, according to code, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 270 square foot. And that's for a tiny home. A tiny home is a picture, it is a building upon the land. A model home is
Mark,
licensed and type.
can I cut to the chase instead of you taking 10 minutes to do this?
No, at this point in time, and the township has taken the opportunity, we've reduced our minimum housing size from 900 square feet down to 550 square feet, just so my kids can afford to live here. Still too high. I look at my parents when they were alive, they occupied roughly 220 square foot of their house, of their 1,000 square house. So it was a burden for them to take care of. Housing North, from my understanding, is going to be the next planning commission to give a presentation of the impacts of our housing needs assessment, roughly 15,000 short. So, your dad, I can say that.
You guys you're missing the thing. These people are putting park models out to avoid the land use permit and avoid a building permit. You can even live in a park model if you do it the right way. We don't care. They're using it as a loophole. No building permit, no land use permit. So that's the loophole we're trying to close. If you want to live in a park model in Green Lake Township, have it. Not a problem. So you guys are missing the point. I think.
And that's what our master plan dictates. If you look at page 49 of the master plan, and I can attest that it's being looked at East Bay Township as removed minimum dwelling sizes. It's whatever local code requires. And HOAs, which township doesn't have an HOA. Subdivisions and flats have HOAs, we don't. Point of clarification, so we don't administer and enforce Betsy Crossing control documents. But if it's in bounds, that's something that we can administer and enforce. East Bay, they want whatever local requires, Homestead Township, past Inland Township, no minimum dwelling size. And I think that's going to be part of the proposals presented to the planning commission to amend the ordinance for future. And we've amended our minimum size a year and a half ago. We haven't been around over 5 years. ADUs should be considered, or grandmother flats, or mother-in-law, whatever.
Granny flats.
Granny flats. That's something that needs to be considered. So, that's it. Okay. Pat?
People think calling campers is not the way to do it.
There's two items. There was an official public hearing held on the master plan that was in front of the planning commission, and there was provisions in the zoning ordinance, if you're building a house, there's special provisions where you can live in a trailer, teepee, for an extended period of time if you are building.
Yeah, that's hard to take 12 years too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, as far as the option of the township board holding a public hearing, this planning act 33 of 2008 also dictates that master plans are held at the will of the planning commission. The town board could exercise its right to take action and deny, or we could take action to, like we did tonight, planning commission, it's your document, we support your document. Those are the provisions in that regards there, according to the act.
And all public hearings were posted in the paper.
I think that's really important, because it was not discussed here tonight.
Our millage rate is it 0.67? We can only go up to 1 at the will of the voters.
Do we actually do that now, or is that the winner?
If we're not changing anything, we don't do anything, so that's, we didn't change it. We had the option to change anything, we didn't.
The township is authorized.
Like I said, our village rate of blah, blah, blah is what will be in place to support this budget. You know, you Dave, said,
It's not a
you know, we
requirement.
shouldn't just put in the minutes, passed resolution 127-692, because no resident knows what the hell that was. You know, this whole board professed that they wanted to have increased transparency to residents, and it's just not happening.
So with that being said, the current millage rate is at 0.67, Isaac?
Yes, I believe so.
Somewhere in there. We are only authorized in General Wall Township up to 1 mil. With the Headley rollback over the years, the only way we can increase our operational millage is by the vote of the people to raise it back to 1 mil, $1 per thousand. Currently, we're collecting 67 cents out of the potential $1 we collect on $1,000 value. That's depicted on your tax bills that you receive. In that regard, it's also on the state's dashboard financial health of Green Lake Township, which requires, we are currently, taking steps to become more open, more transparent. Not as fast as some people like, it's not on the same avenue as some people like. We cover a wide variety of activities. We got YouTube, we got our IT people in there trying to fix the sound of our YouTube. I mean, so we are trying to take steps, but in that regards. Any other discussion on this board?
Is that language mandatory, the millage language? I mean,
It gives us the option to act at a budget hearing, whether we do or not. This board is, we ever done.
But it's required to be posted in the paper like that.
Possibly.
Yeah. What we both is certain funds and certain timeline.
That's what the state requires, that has to be posted. That isn't something that we make a decision on. That's what the state mandates that we have to post.
Yes, but it said it will be a subject at this.
If
which is-
we change it, yeah, but we didn't change it, so by law, we do not have to discuss it. We did nothing to it.
So with that, next item I see is Nat Works Northwest, Blair Township Master Plan. This is notice that Blair Township is in the process of updating their master plan via Networks Northwest Planning Agency.
So we normally just kick this, whoever's doing our planning, they look at it.
Send it to our planning commission.
Once every 100 years, they make a comment.
Correct. So the next item I see on our agenda is the adjournment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:39 PM.
So moved.
We got a motion by Kramer, supported by Donald. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We'll say no.
I'm not putting it in the minutes.